And we are live. This conversation has to, I have to have this conversation, right? Because it was meant to be for 2 p.m. So if you are having a replay, then of course you are welcome. You're welcome. So today we're delving into, remember this month we have been talking a lot about Yoshebed and the boys and raising the boy child, right? And of course, Moses was a boy that was being raised in the Nile, in the period of the Nile. Moses was a boy that was being raised when there was a command, a decree by Pharaoh that all the boys should be thrown into the Nile, right? So Yoshebed was a woman that gave birth at the time when that decree was enforced, right? So, and remember that she had already given birth to two children, Aaron and Miriam, and then she's going to still give birth to Moses. Now, I'm very sure that that decree was on when she took in for that boy Moses. So one of the lessons we're learning from Yoshebed is that she did not abort her dreams, right? She did not cower. She could have said, well, since male children are being thrown into the Nile, there's no need to get pregnant because what if it's a boy? She still decided to bring forth that delivery. That may not be a biological child for you, that may be something, a vision for you as a mother that God has placed in your heart that will cause a ripple effect in generations to come, that will deliver a generation, ahead, that will save a generation that is to come, that will cause a change in this generation, right? Now, you could have excuses. Yoshebed had excuses, right? You could have excuses um, such as the economy is bad, such as the everything is I'm not ready, such as I may not be able to carry this on for as long as it should be. You could have a lot of excuses not to bring forth your Moses, your deliverer, that vision, that dream. But we're learning about Yoshebed and we are seeing that Yoshebed did not give up, did not give in, and did not abort her vision. And Moses became that deliverer that, in fact, Moses is the greatest Old Testament prophet. Unarguably, the greatest that guy that talked with God face to face. So imagine that that woman aborted it. She would have aborted a generation. And you see, think about it. Moses arrived at the right time. So the prophecy was that these guys were going to stay for 400 years in Egypt. So Moses came at the right time, but he wasn't even prepared enough to do that work. So these people stayed an extra 30 years. So even when there's a deliverer, but the deliverer was not even ready. And because of that, they stayed extra 30 years in captivity. Okay, now imagine that the deliverer was not even born at all. Imagine that the deliverer was not even born at all. That means they could have spent 500 years, 550 years till God, you know, decides to raise someone else. But thank God for you, Shebed, who decided to bring out Moses. But she didn't just stop there, she gave birth to Moses. And when she gave birth to Moses, she also was in that system where she could have thrown Moses into, she could have given up Moses immediately. But she hid, sorry for the distraction, she hid Moses. She hid Moses from the point from when he was born till he was 3 months old. Okay? From when he was born till when he was 3 months old, when she could no longer hide him. Like, she couldn't help it. She could no longer hide him. And we've learned one lesson, that there is a time to hide and there is a time to expose. There is a time, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, there is a time for everything. So there is a time to hide, but it takes a lot of sensitivity. Sometimes when you're pregnant, there is a time to hide that pregnancy. And there is a time for that pregnancy to be exposed, like it must be exposed. Everybody must see it. That's how God made it. So now, this woman knew that this is time to hide, and she hid her son. And she knew that this is the time to release that son at 3 months. Now, she couldn't hide the child anymore. It was inevitable for her to release that baby, right? There is always a time in your life as a mother where it's inevitable for you to release your child. Example, it's inevitable for you to release your child to go to school, maybe at 3 or 2. Some people at even 6 months, because of the way the family dynamics are, they have to release their baby at 6 months. It's inevitable. For for Yoshebed, it was, she couldn't help but release her baby at 3 months. For some people too, they can't help but release their baby to crèche at 3 months. Ah, you know, but the thing is that she wasn't releasing that baby carelessly. Remember that boys were being thrown into the Nile carelessly, right? Boys were being thrown into the Nile for them to drown, for their destinies to be destroyed, for their voices to be terminated, for their gifts to be locked up, for them to be wasted, for them to be destroyed, wasted by pornography, wasted by drug addiction, wasted by sexual addiction, sex addiction, wasted. They were just being thrown like that, just like that, carelessly into the Nile. But Moses' mother, Yoshebed, had to also put her son into the same Nile that other boys were being thrown at 3 months. And that is the same time some mothers have to inevitably put their sons in a crèche. Can you see? That is the same time some mothers have to inevitably let their babies be handled by a nanny at home because they have to resume at work. Can you see how our situation is just very close and very similar? In fact, the same in Yoshide. Now, listen, that's not all. 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years. Now it's time to release your baby boy to school, to pre nursery, or 3 years, or it could be 5 or 6 years. Now it's time to release your baby boy to primary school. Then it could be time to release your baby boy to secondary. It could be boarding house, or it could even be just secondary school. Now, as you can see, these are different phases in this child, in the life of your son. Okay? These are different phases where release is done temporarily. They go to school in the morning, come back in the evening. Now, school is now, right? Even church, sometimes their church is now. Sometimes a holiday camp is a now. Now is just a place where everything can happen and anything can happen. So there are different times of release, right? Some will start releasing their babies, but the conversation here is not that you release your baby. The conversation is, how do you release your son? That's what makes the difference between Yoshebe and the other Jewish mothers in Egypt whose sons were forcefully thrown into the Nile. Pharaoh is still raising man. That's what you must have at the front of your mind. In this generation, Pharaoh is as mad or even madder than he was in the days of Moses, right? So we will double up our strategies like Joshua. Okay, so other baby boys will be taken to crèche. I'm just, some mothers just decide to release their children. Not that it's inevitable. They just want to have their life, live the soft life, and so on and so forth. Okay, but that is not what God has called us to do. It's at a point where it's inevitable that you must release that son. And you must release that song. But the question is, how will you release that song to the Nile? Because that song may be moving from the Nile to the palace. Okay? So there are different, uh, um, Moses' mother is going to release him to the Nile. So she had sat down and prepared herself on how she will release that song to the Nile. She calculated it. She knows that this is a river, and this river carries current, and this current can actually take the basket away. Number two, the kind of basket used was very, very crucial because baskets are perforated. So if you just use a basket and probably put your wrapper inside, the wrapper will soak in the Nile into the basket. And that boy will still. All right, sorry about that. Right? So that basket must be intentionally basketed. She by herself used papyrus. She used different materials to ensure that the Nile was waterproof for her son, so that even though other boys will drown in Nile, her son will float on the Nile. That was the plan. That was the plan, that her son will float on the Nile. What is your own plan? Okay? It's your own plan. And after she had done that action and put the baby inside the basket and put him on the Nile, she stood and prayed that that boy would be preserved. So she had planning and preparation on one hand, and yet she also had prayer on the other hand. The Yoshebetes of today are moms who will function with their two hands, right? With their two hands, with the sword on the left hand and building their baskets on the right hand. So they are warring, okay? They are warring and they are building. They are warring, warrior builders. They are warring and they are building, okay? Those are the Yoshebed kinds of moms that we're talking about. You see? So she built the basket. She put the papyrus, and one more thing, to make it watertight, to prevent that water, that evil, that pornography from accessing her son, to prevent that which is swallowing her other boys, from swallowing, from drowning her sons. All right. So what are you doing? What kind of preparation are you making to send your son, to release your sons into the now? The world we're living in is the it's just like the now, it's the same now we're talking about. That's the world we're living in. Okay? And Pharaoh is still raving mad. He's still commanding mothers. He's still commanding his servants. He's still commanding them, take these boys away, take them in, throw them into the Nile. He's commanding his servants, his demons, his agents on earth, his agents in media, his agents in cartoon, his agents in pornography, his agents in music, his agents are everywhere, and they are on their toes, working 247 every single moment of the day, dragging boys, dragging boys into addiction, all manner of addiction, dragging boys into porn addiction, dragging boys into hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drunkenness, dragging boys into different. I mean, boys are. You need to see what's happening to boys. And I say you need to see what's happening to boys everywhere, right? And he said, preserve the girls, preserve the girls, preserve the girls. And the question is, what's going to be the fate of the girl? Who will befriend the girls? Who will be the girls' classmates? Who will be the girls' friends? Who will be the girls' marriage partners? So now we have girls that are well raised, you know, marrying boys that were that's boys that came from the Nile, and it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. That was the plan of Pharaoh. So that when the Hebrew girls are ready to marry, they will marry the boys, the wasted men, men that have no direction, men without vision, men whose destinies are already being thwarted and wasted by um, the evils of the day. And then marriage is under attack, and then marriage is taken out, and then God, that which God planned from the beginning, becomes thwarted. So you see, this whole plan against the male child, against the boy child, is a plan against the perfect will and purpose of God, not just for your child, not just for your family, but for the world, but for a generation, but for a generation. So it's not something we are joking about. It's a serious, serious, serious matter. It's a serious, serious matter. So the girls are sex educated and the boys are given snacks. The girls are home trained and the boys are left to freelance. The girls are in the kitchen, the boys are on video games. The girls are learning, are in learning spaces, and the boys are loafing about. And what's the result? You can agree with me that in learning spaces, women top the chart. In learning spaces, the women, so women are learning, always going for personal development because that's how they were raised, always trying to know more, becoming more, making even more money, while the men are just seated, they are just lounging. Men that have been wasted by the Nile, men that have been swallowed, whose destinies have been drowned a long time ago in the Nile because mothers did not build their basket. So before you send your child, before you release, right? Remember there is a time to hide and there is a time to let go. But before you let go, make sure that you build the basket. Okay, this is the end of a session, and another session is about to start. So look at yourself now as a mom. Jochebed released, and then Miriam, you know, the Pharaoh's daughter got the baby. Miriam suggested the baby back to the mother to be fed, and then Jochebed got him back and worked on him and released him again. So you see, now let's look at where we are today. The holidays have arrived. We're now with our sons. It's like the first release, they've gone for the session or for the term, and then we have God now gives them back to us. Just the way God gave baby Moses back to his mother, and she breastfed him, and she used that opportunity to fill him up. She used that opportunity to reaffirm his identity. She used that opportunity to give him back to back sex education. She used that opportunity to build his personality, to build those things that are not visible to the eye. She used that opportunity to repair what needed to be repaired. She used that opportunity to indoctrinate him. She used that opportunity to, yeah. That was what Jochebed did the second time she had her son back. This is the holiday time. Now you have your son back. What's your plan? What is your basketing plan? It's time to take out time and pray, right? Pray. And while you are praying, you are also working on that child. You are also, this is holiday time. So God just gives you back your son the way God gave Moses to his mother after the Nile experience, right? Before she released him again into the palace. Before she released him again into the palace. That was like the final release. Okay? So this holiday time, what are you doing? It's time to build your son's identity. As long as our children are being exposed to the world, their identity is being attacked. Every one of us, our identity is the target of the enemy. Our identity, our values, our beliefs, our faith, our joy, everything. They've gone through a lot this session. But God has graciously brought them back to you. It's not time. It is not time. There is time to release. There is a time to hide. Holiday time is not time to release. It's a time to hide. Ah, it's a time to hide your son again and begin to pump up his identity. Begin to talk to him, begin to reprogram him, begin to indoctrinate him, begin to strengthen, begin to check those leakages and correct them. Check those cracks and repair them. That's what this time is. God gave him back to you so you can repair, so you can reparent. Because the time to release is coming again in September for the first time, for first term, the new session. Now your child is going to be released into the new class. That's a new thing. Your child is going to be released into a new session. He might have new sets of classmates, new set of teachers. That is another opportunity to release. But are you going to release him just the way you normally release him? God has brought this conversation your way because we now have to learn that at every time that we have to release our songs, we don't have to do it carelessly. We don't have to do it carelessly. We are going to stand upon our words and ensure that we are releasing them the right way. The prayer on the side and building on the other side. That's why the course building the basket is just timely. Look at that. It's timely. And you see, those 7 days are not going to be just 7 days of talking and conversation. It's going to be 7 days of prayer. It's going to be 7 days of fasting, if you can. It's going to be 7 days of warring for our sons. It's going to be 7 days of preparation, planning. It's going to be 7 days of building the basket, the structures, the routines, the systems of raising our sons in a generation that Pharaoh is still raising man. It's not just another course, because I'm taking it personal, right? So as I prepare, as I read, as I write, I'm seeing even my own, I'm seeing my cracks, I'm seeing my own leakages. I'm seeing my own shortcomings. I'm seeing a lot of gaps. Even as I've seen, as my son has returned to me in this holiday, I'm seeing a lot of work that needs to be redone. I'm seeing a lot of things that need to be redone. I'm seeing a lot of cracks that need to be repaired. I'm seeing a lot of leakages that need to be patched. I'm seeing a lot of things that need to be done inside of him, those things that will help him survive the next release time. So that 7 days is personal to me. It's personal to me. It's going to be 7 days of power, of fire, 7 days of prayer, of planning, 7 days of seeking the Lord concerning our sons. We have what it takes to raise Moses. We have what it takes to raise believers. We will not just raise normal men, normal people. We are here to raise people that will, come on, people that will change the world. And we are not going to do it carelessly. We're not going to leave it to the world. We're not going to leave it to fear. We're not going to leave it to our chance. We're going to be intentional about it. So if you're listening to me, register for the Build a Basket call. And I don't even wish for it to be. I want, like, we want to have tangible results. We want to have tangibility. We want to have tangibility. It's not just a course that you catch and do. We have to be there live doing the work. It's going to be happening in the night. After you fasted in the day, we are going to be seeking the Lord. We're going to be doing that. And then we're going to be planning on how we are going to, release our songs for the coming session, for the coming term. How we are going to release our songs to their next level. And this time we are going to be releasing them intentionally. We are going to be releasing them deliberately. We are going to be releasing them inside well packaged, well covered, well arranged, well shaped basket. This time around, we're no longer releasing them in empty or in leaking baskets or in plastic baskets or in metal baskets. We're going to be releasing them intentionally. So join the course, okay? Join the course, join the course, join the course. Let's do it. Let's do it. One of the things I'll round up with that even at the time where the first time that Moses was going to be released, because he was so young, she didn't just put him on the Nile and left. The Bible recorded that she sent Miriam to watch what would become of the basket while she stood by watching the whole thing, right? So there's a time when you're going to be releasing your child, but you will release them into the hands of mentors. You're going to release them into the tutelage of mentors because we cannot parent alone. You cannot raise that your deliverer alone. You need your Miriam. You need your Pharaoh's daughter. You need even Pharaoh. You need for the parents. So you intentionally place them, place mentors, so that they can see what you're not seeing. They can catch your son when you cannot catch him. They can partner with you. That was partnership between Miriam and Yoshebe. She was like a go-between the mother and Pharaoh's daughter, right? So she was there at the right time to help bring the son back to the mother for re-engineering. So you must always have a mentor in the life of your son who will see beyond what you can see, who will do beyond what you can do, and who can always bring you and your son together and in alignment. Who will be the rallying point or the point of understanding? I don't know how to put it now, right? Sometimes they won't be able to get you, right? Sometimes they won't be able to get you, but they can get their mentor. Sometimes, right? So that was what happened to Moses. So at the point where the mother left the system, temporarily, there was a Miriam, right, to catch him and to reconnect him back for the mother before another release. So the mentors in your children's lives are there to do a very massive work for you. Where you cannot see, the see. What your children cannot tell you, they can tell their mentors. Um, um, you know, your children, your son will not be able, under the watch of the mentor, to go um to go astray. It's impossible. It's impossible. It was impossible for Moses's basket to go. I mean, just the Nile is a very big river. It was impossible because first of all, the mother placed it by the bush, right? And then secondly, and very importantly, she also placed a mirror to watch the basket. So first of all, system by the banks is a protective system to ensure that the basket moves in a directed. This is amazing. And then even though she placed it at that vantage point, that point where he cannot throw carelessly, she also now placed a system of mentorship to also help guide the basket, to also help that, to ensure that the basket doesn't, to ensure that the basket doesn't go the wrong way, and to also help bring back the son so he doesn't go astray. What's your system? How do you release your sons? You release them in a directed manner. You release. So